And part of the reason why I wanted to come here too was I heard just this morning that Charlie Baker was in favor of the same thing that Paul Patrick is doing right now. And we need some different views, you know, and it seems like Charlie Baker is just doing the same thing, just a little bit lighter than what the Democrats are doing.
Two quick things. Paul Patrick called Charlie Baker his identical twin back in March of this year, and that's because they agree so much on the issues. Charlie has a vision, and I do too. They stem from the same thing, that's this. The Democrats own the state. Charlie and the rest of the Mass GOP establishment believes that because they own the state, so they have to run as a liberal Democrat, or at least look like one, in order to have a chance for winning. I don't buy into that. I say the Democrats own the state. That means they own all the problems. And so what a wonderful time to be a real, true conservative Republican if you run as one. That will show the separation. They own all the problems. We have to have somebody to stand up and make them own up to those problems. It's a strategy that's played out. We've lost with it before. Senator Scott Brown ran right of center and won in 2010. He moved left of center. He lost his base and lost the election. The Mass GOP establishment put forward Gabriel Gomez, who pleaded with Deval Patrick for a position, who financially supported Barack Obama, and whose leftist leanings couldn't bring 300,000 Republicans to get up off their couches to vote for him, and he lost against Markey in the special Senate election. And then just a few weeks ago, the Mass GOP establishment in this state gave the prestigious Lincoln Reagan Award to former Governor Bill Weld, who not only financially supported Barack Obama, but who voted for Barack Obama over and above Republican John McCain. This is the state of the Mass GOP in Massachusetts. I'm running to give conservative Republicans another choice that they haven't had in a long, long, long time. That's why I'm running.
I have a question.
Yes, Jan.
I'm Catch of the Day Video News, and I'm glad I'm here. My topic is First Amendment, public record law, and I'm wondering if you have an opinion on the Judiciary Committee hearing that was held this week on the buffer zone, because they pushed it right through. They did not have House broadcast cover this, which would have allowed the whole state to be involved in this grand decision. So do you have any comments on that?
Sure, absolutely. It's part and parcel of one-party rule in Massachusetts. The Democrats can do what they will, and at best we're along for the ride. With regard to the decision, I'm not sure why so many people are so upset about it. There are conservatives and there are liberals on the Supreme Court, and they all agreed on this 9-0 on this particular decision. I'm pro-life, but I would think that this decision should be hailed by people who are pro-life and people who are pro-choice, or who say they are, because this gives women more of an opportunity to get information on which to base more informed decisions. We should both be hailing this decision, but people aren't. I know Charlie's come out against it, and I think what's happening, people who are against this decision are showing their true colors. They're not pro-choice, they're pro-abortion. They want to force that issue. Back to your question about the hearings, if people are so adamant about their positions, they should be free to have an open discussion and allow the press to have these hearings so that you in turn can have the rest of the people in Massachusetts hear them as well.
Well, because the State House is not under the public record law, they're not really guilty when it comes to the 48-hour notice. So I don't even know that there was a true 48-hour notice for this. So I think that I'm just asking, how urgent a mission do you think this is?
Oh, in general, I think that the State House should be have these things open to the public. I know you say they're not under the law for that. This is a matter of civil discourse and say common decency and freedom of the press. It should be. It should be. I'd be an advocate for that.
Okay, thank you.
Just a little bit about my background, if you guys don't know. So I grew up in Westfield, Mass. My dad went to trade school. My mom only went to elementary school. And so when I graduated from high school, I didn't go to college. I joined a union shop, Colony Envelope Company, and rolled up my sleeves, learned the value of the buck. And while I was working there, I met a lot of good people. People who told me that hard work and determination can more than make up for the lack of a college education. And as I was working there, I could see how their blue-collar lives were working for them. They were raising their families, paying their bills, they could afford a rent or a mortgage, and they were saving for the future. It was working for them, it worked for my mom, it worked for my dad. And I had to make a decision whether I wanted to go down that path or do something different. And what I tell people is this: I really believe that this is part of the great joy in life. We find out what gifts and talents we have, what we like to do, what we do best. We step forward and test the waters. We don't always get it right the first time or the second time, but we keep at it. That's our pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of happiness. And so I went to college. I decided to go to college, a 2-year community college. And when I graduated, I ended up transferring to WPI in Worcester. I earned graduate degrees in engineering and in management, then worked as an engineer in Massachusetts. 4 companies in a row, my previous employees, have closed their doors and moved out of state. It's the state of business here in Massachusetts. We're driving businesses out. The last time I was unemployed, I took a lien on my home. I bought a small manufacturing business, and it has done so well that it's allowed me to get into politics. My involvement in politics up to now has been voting and complaining, voting and complaining. But now I have an opportunity to do something more. And I'm tired of holding my nose for the slate of candidates that the Mass GOP is putting forward to us. They're at best Democrat-like. I want to run as a true conservative. I want to make a statement. I'm not running as a state rep. I'm running for governor. And I'm doing that because the impact that I will have winning this race, as opposed to winning the state rep's race, will have a much greater impact. You know, I'm only in this for at maximum 2 terms. Then I pass the baton to another young conservative. But once again, the Democrats own the state. They own all the problems. They've owned both houses on the state at Beacon Hill since the 1960s. And when they took over, we had 12 congressional seats down in Washington. And because of what they've done, that 12 has gone to 11, 11 to 10, and most recently, after the recent census, it's gone down to 9. Our debt has increased. The number of people on food stamps has doubled. EBT card scandals, DCF scandals, all these scandals, they're all problems owned by the Democrats. If we run hard against them, I don't see how we can't win. I don't see how we can't win. Thank you. Any other opportunities for questions? Again, anything's on the table.
Where do you see yourself in trying to reduce the tax burden to tax people?
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why people and businesses leave the state. I've got a 4-point program to make Massachusetts business friendly, and also individual taxes. So we'll start with individual taxes first. We were promised when the turnpike was paid for, and it's been paid for 30 years, that the tolls would come down. Massachusetts Turnpike is an excellent example of a self-sustaining project. When you travel down the turnpike, all the billboards that you see, all the rest stops with the gas stations and food eateries, all the revenue they generate more than pays for the annual maintenance on the turnpike, and then generates $20 million in excess each and every year. We don't need the tolls. There's a savings to the taxpayers, and it's an integrity issue. We were promised they would come down, so we have to keep that promise. On the income tax, when it was raised up above 5%, we were promised it would be temporary. And when the government in the state of Massachusetts broke that promise to us, we all got together in 2000 on a referendum and voted to have it returned back to 5%, again, where we were promised it would be. And then the legislature just ignored us. And so it stands above 5%. I would keep that promise and bring it back to 5%. And then lastly, on the sales tax, Governor Deval Patrick, when he raised it from 5 to 6 1/4, he said it was temporary because there was a shortfall. Well, we know that revenues are up because he's found $9 million to redo his office. So that promise will be kept to the taxpayers as well. That's on the individual side. On the corporate side, businesses, the government does not create jobs. It's small businesses that create jobs. So we have to make Massachusetts business friendly. First thing we do is reduce the corporate tax rate to make it comparable to surrounding states to which we're driving businesses away. By the way, the Dakotas are enjoying explosive job growth, but strangely enough, the second state behind the Dakotas is New York, liberal New York. It's because they've instituted zero tax zones and they're attracting businesses. The second thing we do is we stop taxpayer funding of fad industries like Evergreen Solar out in Devens, 58 million taxpayer dollars went to a company that just 2 years later closed its doors, moved out of state, 800 people lost their jobs. Third thing, reduce the rules and regulations that drive businesses out. I'll tell you just 2 quick stories. A business owner that I know, about a year ago this time, moved into a brand new manufacturing facility. Eat off the floor clean, well lit, state-of-the-art CNC equipment. And he was visited by the Department of Environmental Protection. And they fined him $7,000 because the sign on his wall that said hazardous material should have said hazardous waste. And rather than give him the 30 seconds to change it, they fined him $7,000. Another manufacturer was visited by the DEP, and they asked him if he changed the oil in his fork truck. And he said, well, I don't do it personally. I have a company from the outside that come in, they change the oil, change the belts, tune it up. And they said, well, where's the manifest showing how much hazardous waste the oil was generated? He said, well, I don't take care of that. It's the company that comes in. And they said, no, you're the generator of that waste. Where's the manifest? He didn't have it. They fined him $25,000. He didn't have that kind of cash lying around, so he fought it. And he was able to reduce it from $25,000 to about $5,000 if he made a contribution to his local police or fire department. These are the types of rules and regulations that drive businesses out. And then lastly, the fourth point, we eliminate the inventory tax. The inventory tax is very obscure. Only about 7 other states have it. Businesses are taxed on the amount of inventory they have at the end of the year. Why do I want to eliminate it? You've heard the old adage in real estate, location, location, location. Massachusetts is centrally located in New England. 3 New England states to our north, 2 to our south, New York is to our left, and I always want to keep New York left of Massachusetts. What does this location mean? It would be a haven for distribution centers to come to Massachusetts and serve all of New England and New York. But they won't come here if there's an inventory tax. We eliminate the inventory tax, distribution centers come here and they bring in material handling jobs, logistics jobs, administrative jobs, transportation jobs, truck drivers coming in and out. We can do in Massachusetts what Governor Scott Walker did in Wisconsin, a blue state. He's a Republican governor. In 3 years, he took tens of billions of dollars in deficit and debt and turned it into a $1 billion surplus. He's the only governor to survive a recall. When the unions tried to recall and poured in billions of dollars, Democrat voters came out and elected him by wider margins and wider percentages than they did the first time they elected him. We can do this here in Massachusetts as well. So thanks for the question.
Now, how did Scott Walker do that?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't want to hear raising taxes to do that. How did he do that?
A couple of things. Again, making Wisconsin business friendly, but also they have some lavish benefits there for, and this is why the unions were against him, for union employees. Some of the benefits required 0 contribution from union members. So they're all being foot by the taxpayer. So he said, let's be fair. He didn't want to take 50% or 30% or 25% and have the beneficiaries pay it. He said, how about just 2%? Just 2%. And the unions fought him on that. They fought him on that. If you read his new book, it's called Unintimidated. He fought back. And the thing is, it wasn't him against the unions. Well, that's where the fight was. But he had hard-working, common people of Democrat persuasion, independent persuasion, and Republicans. Because he's doing a common sense thing. Common sense, fighting the things that are not common sense. And the beneficiaries of these programs should be putting something into them. And that's how he turned it around in 3 short years.
See, that's a story I think that we should hear more.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know?
We need members of a fair and balanced media to tell that story. So,
Yep.
do you know Eddie?
I have one more dangerous question.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with Common Core?
absolutely.
And do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. If as governor, right, if I have the power, the first thing I would do after taking the oath of office is to sign an executive order to eliminate it from the state of Massachusetts. It's another government takeover by education. Education is best served on a local level. Let teachers teach. Not let some bureaucrat either in Washington or Beacon Hill tell teachers how to be teaching. It should be done at the local level. And that's what Common Core doesn't allow.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.